I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I know, it's been months since I've made a video. I couldn't help it. The election season was just too absurd for me. All the lies and the back and forth and candidates beating their heads against each other. I just couldn't. So I paid attention, but it just wasn't worth commenting on, in my opinion. But now the election is over, and we do know that, for better or worse, Donald Trump will be our next president. Now he is beginning to choose his administration staff. A good staff for a presidential administration is extremely important, as that should go without saying. I'm not sure I have a lot of confidence in the picks that he's making, but quite honestly, I don't know much about most of them, so I decided rather than just jumping to conclusions, I would do a little research. And I decided that maybe there's some others out there who don't know who these people are as well. And so I decided to share my research with y'all. I'm going to do, take them one at a time. And I'm going to start out with the White House Chief of Staff, which is arguably one of the most important positions in any presidential administration. For this role, Trump has chosen his campaign manager, a woman, and may I note, the first woman to ever be a chief of staff of the United States, a woman named Susie Wiles. Now, before we take a peek at her resume, I just want to take a quick review of what a chief of staff of the White House offices does. So, according to the White House Internship Program department descriptions, the Chief of Staff is one of the most important roles in the White House. The office of the Chief of Staff is responsible for directing, managing, and overseeing all policy development, daily operations, and staff activities for President. This office coordinates and communicates with all departments and agencies of the administration. The staff of this office assists that effort by organizing the affairs of the Chief and Deputy Chiefs of Staff. The staff also assists the Chief in other duties as advisors to the President. So, now to Susie Wiles. Who is she? We know she was his campaign manager, and obviously she was pretty good at that job, because she ran a winning campaign. But is she qualified to head the most important office in the United States? Let's see what Wikipedia has to say. Susie Wiles was born in New Jersey on May 14th, 1957. Her parents were Pat and Catherine Summerall. Pat Summerall was a former professional football player, a sportscaster for CBS, Fox, and ESPN, and author of the book Summerall, On and Off the Air. Susie graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in English from the University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland. She was married to Lanny Wiles from 1985 until they divorced in 2017, and the couple has 2 daughters. She belongs to the Episcopal Church. From what I have seen, obviously I read this before I'm making this video, she's had a pretty impressive career, and at some point she earned the nickname Ice Maiden. She describes herself as a moderate Republican. In 1979, she was an assistant to U.S. Representative Jack Kemp, a Republican from New York. The following year, she joined the presidential campaign of Ronald Reagan as campaign scheduler. Throughout the 1990s, Susie served as Chief of Staff to Jacksonville, Florida Mayor John Delaney, and she worked for U.S. Representative Tilly Fowler, a Republican from Florida. From 2004 to 2009, she served as an advisor to Jacksonville Mayor John Payton. Susie joined the gubernatorial campaign of businessman Rick Scott in 2010 and was credited with helping him to get elected. In January of the following year, Governor John Huntsman Jr., a Republican from Utah, hired Susie as campaign manager for his presidential campaign. While working for Huntsman, she also launched a, excuse me if I mispronounce this, a Ponte Vedra Beach-based consulting firm with Jacksonville Jaguars player Tony Boselli. She left the campaign in July. Susie also ran Ballard Partners, a Tallahassee, Florida-based lobbying firm, for close to a decade, but left in September 2019 due to a nagging health issue. In 2018, Trump deputized her to help Ron DeSantis campaign for the Florida governor's seat. DeSantis described her as the best in the business. However, she later described the experience of working for DeSantis as the biggest mistake of her entire life. Susie went on to help Trump's 2020 campaign, but according to Politico, the tie was cut at the urging. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh, how embarrassing. I lost my place. Let me start again. In 2018, Trump deputized her to help Ron DeSantis campaign for the Florida governor's seat. DeSantis described her as the best in the business. However, she later described the experience of working for DeSantis as the biggest mistake of her entire life. Susie was set to help Trump's 2020 campaign, but according to Politico, the tie to Wiles was cut at the urging of Governor Ron DeSantis to allow him to install his own allies into the state party, a move widely seen as a setback to the president's re-election campaign in that battleground state. In March 2021, Susie was chosen as CEO of Trump's Save America PAC, and the following month, Politico described her as the new honcho atop Trump world, noting that she would wield authority over former 2020 campaign manager Bill Stephen and key aide Justin R. Clark. Under her leadership, Save America PAC has covered legal fees for several current and former Trump staffers involved in legal proceedings against the former president. In 2023, in the indictment regarding Trump's mishandling of classified documents, Wiles was identified as a PAC representative. Trump showed a classified map concerning a military operation. She was not legally authorized to view such documents. I'm going to interject here for a minute. This is the first red flag I've really seen. The fact that she chose to look at it when she knew she was not permitted to view classified documents makes me question her integrity and her respect for the law. Okay, let's continue. After the indictment, ProPublica documented an increase in payments to Wiles, which was part of a pattern of Trump staffers who received financial benefits after being subpoenaed in the investigation. Susie denied knowing that it was best practice for witnesses in an investigation concerning their boss or client to not appear like they are receiving special treatment, and denied talking to Trump about her testimony. I'm sorry, I had trouble getting through that sentence without laughing. I call liar pants on fire on that one. I mean, of course she discussed it with him. Only a fool would believe she didn't. Trump is way too much of a control freak not to have insisted that they discussed her testimony. I mean, I would be willing to bet that she and the others were instructed exactly how to respond to questions, but of course I have no way to prove that, so I'm going to try to stay away from speculating too much. And we continue. Susie was campaign manager for Trump's 2020 campaign, and 2 days after Trump won, I'm sorry, here I go again. I really do need new glasses, and that's not an excuse, so please bear with me. Susie was campaign manager for Trump's 2024 campaign, and 2 days after Trump won, he named her his White House chief of staff. And that's about all Wikipedia has. There are sources listed on the Wikipedia site to cite all of the data, and if, they're there if you want to review them, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and list them all. I found another article published November 7th, 2024, by Politico, titled 5 Things You Need to Know About Susie Wiles, written by Megan Messerly, Natalie Allison, Meredith McGraw, and Haley Fuchs. The article begins by crediting, the article begins saying that Wiles is credited with running a disciplined professional campaign operation. It continues on to say that Wiles has demonstrated an ability to help control Trump's impulses to the extent that is possible, in a way few others have. They call her a Washington outsider with little experience in federal government. They list the 5 things as number 1, her main experience is in running campaigns, not the government. I would argue personally that is accurate at the federal level, but she does have some chief of staff experience at the city level when she worked for the mayor of Jacksonville. So that's at least some experience. Number 2, she has worked for a spectrum of Republicans. Wikipedia pretty much covers it, but the Politico article adds that she also worked in the Labor Department under Ronald Reagan and on the 1988 Bush Quayle campaign as Deputy Director of Operations for the presidential... boy, oh boy, I can't talk. She has worked on a spectrum of Okay, I really don't want to start this video over, so let me just start over with this again. Please bear with me. Number 2. She has worked for a spectrum of Republicans. Wikipedia pretty much covers it, but this list adds that she worked in the Labor Department under Ronald Reagan. She worked on the 1988 Bush Quayle campaign as Deputy Director of Operations for the Vice Presidential Campaign, and she was co-chair of Romney's Florida Advisory Council during his 2012 presidential bid. Number 3, she turned Trump's dysfunctional political universe into something organized. Number 4, she is a longtime lobbyist. She lobbied for tobacco company Swisher International while running Trump's campaign. She is a leader of the lobbying giant Mercury, whose clients include SpaceX, AT&T, and the Embassy of Qatar, although Wiles is not registered to lobby for any of those clients. And finally, number 5, she is the daughter of legendary sportscaster Pat Summerall. And that's about it. It's not really very much. I mean, it is a rather impressive resume. I'll be honest and say that. Whether or not it's impressive enough and enough qualifications to do the White House Chief of Staff, I don't know. We'll see. As a woman, I'm rather pleased to see that he did select a woman. It's the first president who ever did. No, I am not praising Donald Trump. I do still think he's a misogynistic pig, my personal opinion. But that's a pretty good thing. Having a woman up there, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's about time in over 200 years. But I really don't know much more about her. I guess it's going to be a wait and see thing. It's definitely not the worst choice he could have made. Definitely not the better. Not the best. Sure, there's others who are more qualified, but can they rein Trump in the way Politico claims she can? Guess it just remains to be seen. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Next up, I'm going to go over Marco Rubio's career. He has been nominated to be the next Secretary of State. Take care.